Matey, as you can see, it's international season in my head. It's Boks time. It's Boks by 10.
The Boks stuff already, mate.
I'm bringing it out. URC is into its last month of league play. We're going to the playoffs. Then obviously the EPCR Challenge Cup semi-final, first week of May. Investec Champions Cup final, that tournament, that's secondary according to the guys in New Zealand. That's first week of May, then the finals in June. But July, we start with the test season. And I've seen enough to know who I want to play in the opening test.
Really?
I've seen enough, mate.
Oh, to be fair though, mate, the opening test, I don't know. I mean, how are we going to go sort of, as Dobbo likes to say, full metal jacket? Who knows? I mean, Russie's got such a wide pool of players to pick from. How have you actually decided on your 15 already?
Well, I've decided that the guys in Japan don't have to come back and prove themselves.
Really?
I reckon the fact that they won 2 World Cups.
To be fair, mate, the Japan top league is so much better than the URC, or, you know, almost at the level of Super Rugby.
Well, there's more World Cup winners playing in the Japan League One than there are playing in the Super Rugby Pacific, mate.
There you go, mate. No surprises.
A glorified NPC.
Exactly.
So Australia wanted to have their equivalent of a domestic competition. They've now got it.
Yeah.
Their teams are ranked 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in Super Rugby Pacific. And you've got the Chiefs and the Crusaders top 1 and 2. And you got the Kiwis languishing at the bottom. The other teams, still 5 or 6 rounds to play. So the Blues, I think, will come through. And you got the Fiji Droa. Half their team is playing in Europe. So that's not the Fiji national team. And then you got our good Samoan friends,
Moana Pacifica,
who are playing in the competition, but that's really Adi Sevilla and the All Black B team.
Right.
So if you can't make the All Blacks, you're shipping off to Samoa, okay?
Okay.
So Adi's come back, second generation, give back to the people, give awareness there. And they also languishing at the bottom.
Yep.
The odd great victory, the people's team, that kind of thing. But you got an Australian 4 teams that make up a national team that is ranked 8th in the world. 8th. You got a Fijian team that's ranked 11th. A Samoan team that's ranked 14th. And the All Blacks who fought their way back to 2nd.
I think Fiji are 9th. They just behind Australia.
Yeah, mate. But they're not in the top 2, are they?
That is the truth, mate.
Now you've got the ignorance, and I call it ignorance more than arrogance, of a Stephen Donald and a Jeff Wilson on breakdown. And we love to talk about those guys because we just love to talk about New Zealand-South Africa rivalry and the big rivalry that's happening next year, 2026, 8 matches in South Africa. Then we will see the strength of the URC when our 4 URC teams take on the midweek All Blacks.
And there we go, mate. That'll be
nice
fun
to get a 1 or 2
Wow,
there.
that'll be lovely to watch.
And then 3 tests against the Springboks and a 4th one in a neutral venue. I do believe it may be somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere, somewhere in London. But a lot of people reacted, obviously, to Stephen Donald saying Geordie Barrett, who's been outstanding for Leinster in the URC and the Champions Cup. He's been the pick of their backs. Archie Snyman's been the pick of their forwards. Saying he has to prove himself because he's playing in a lower league. And Jeff Wilson jokingly said he's playing a lot of golf over there to show that he can play for New Zealand at number 12. Now, if we're talking about a player having to prove himself in New Zealand for playing in the Champions Cup and the URC, how absurd would it be if we said we had to tell Damien Deolandi, Jesse Creel, Peter Steph de Toy, Kwagga Smith, Faf de Klerk,
Malcolm
Marx, hey, you got to come back and prove that you can still be in this Boks squad.
In the Curry Cup.
You must play a few Curry Cup games or SA Cup games to prove you can still mix it with us.
Exactly.
This insular kind of belief that all that is good and great comes from within New Zealand is why they haven't won a World Cup since 2015. They did the same thing when they won in 87. They got ahead of themselves, and it took 24 years for them to win again. And the way they're going, it's going to take another 24 years for them to win a World Cup. This absolute belief that nothing is better than what plays within New Zealand, nothing is greater than the basketball of Super Rugby, and I love that competition. But to compare it even to URC or to Champions Cup is the reason why the All Blacks have struggled so much at test level. It's a different beast.
As Josh Kronfeld said in 2013 when I rocked up there in Auckland for the Rugby Championship, and I asked the coach a question, mate. I said, this is probably the last time that you're going to be facing the Springboks in New Zealand before the 2015 World Cup. Is this a moment where you need to lay down a marker, and Josh Cromwell said, "Relax, mate." You probably just need to relax, man. I think the bottom line is you cannot trust anybody sitting behind a microphone on a broadcast about rugby, because generally those, and I mean, I suppose this includes us, but those guys are working in the studio there. They're paid by that media company to promote the Super Rugby. And I suppose anything that makes Super Rugby look better and more legitimate is probably their mandate. That's what they got to do. So I don't even think they believe that. There's no chance that Stephen Donald thinks Geordie Barrett has to come back from Ireland and prove himself. Who exactly is going to be starting ahead of him? Are we talking about David Avili, mate? Is he going to be wearing the All Blacks number 12 jumper because Geordie didn't come back and prove himself? Doesn't make any sense.
You tell this average South African and Irish rugby supporter. You don't tell it to the Welsh guy. He doesn't even want to admit he's a supporter at the moment. And the Scottish guy and the Italian guy. You tell them to relax, mate. They're not relaxing. The reason we are one in the world, the reason we are back-to-back World Cup champions, because we don't relax.
It's true.
We don't relax.
It's true.
So no one takes on our four URC teams. And on the Josh Cromwell thing, great player.
Yeah.
Just knew how to run that inside line off Jonah Lamu. But I would tell him to relax as well, given what he said about a guy called Richie McCaw. When he was picked to play for the All Blacks before he had played a Super Rugby game, Josh Cromwell said, "What are they giving out the jersey now, mate?" Felt this guy wouldn't amount to much. An insult that he had been picked for the All Blacks.
Oh, mate.
148 test matches later, 2 World Cups, won everything. And I lost 15 and drew 2 in that 148 test match. So Richie McCaw. So when Big Josh says relax, I'm not going to relax, mate. And I do enjoy Stephen Donald's banter. I love the story he tells about how he was drafted into the 2007 World Cup final when he was out whitebait fishing. He had deleted Graham Henry's number. He said, once you're out the All Blacks, you know you're not getting back. So why have his number in your phone? Yeah. And it's the fattest he said he's been, the most overweight. He'd spent 6 weeks eating every pie he could, eating whatever he could.
Mate, those TSAF shorts were real tight.
They were tight. And that little tight jersey of Aaron Cruden's that he had to wear when he came on. But Beaver, great story. And a bloke who's travelled the world, played rugby. I think he's also taking the piss.
No, he's taking the piss, mate.
I mean, he couldn't even remember he was playing for France.
And it wasn't concussions, mate.
But let's get back to our beautiful Boks.
Yes.
Boks by 10.
Yes. I want to hear this team. Come, let's go.
Yeah, but before I get to that, we got to tell the lads that that Macron, those magnificent clothing giants from Europe,
yes,
are heavily involved with the Lions, the Cheetahs, and several of the South African teams. And their bloke, who runs the show here, Rassie Petersen, 160 matches in the goal for South Africa hockey. So I was on my knees pleading with him the other day. Give us some kit.
What did you get? A nice big set of hockey pads.
He said, you need to get back in the gym and continue training because it's Italian sizes, so they're quite tight. So I said, give me a month and I'll be there.
Yes.
So I'm close to that month.
Okay.
But they are going to come on board with us, and they're even looking at something very cool like that for you guys out there and for us. Boks by 10, the Keo Zels show slogan.
Awesome.
It's always Boks by 10.
Beautiful.
I was in the Friedrich Spa the other morning, the Saturday morning of the Stormers game against Connacht. And as I was paying, this bloke said to me, Stormers by 10. And I said, no, mate. Stormers by 14, according to my prediction.
Yeah.
It's only ever Boks by 10. However, at this juncture of the season, I'll take the Stormers by 1.
100%.
And the way it went out, it was basically the Stormers by 1. But we're going to get to that a bit later. Boks team. I've got my team written down. I caught you by surprise.
Yes, you did, mate.
I did a little bit of research. You thought I was going to have a shower. Right on his elected. And then, I made sure that I didn't forget Kane and Moody's name.
Oh, there we go.
Which doesn't mean he's in the team.
Right.
It's just I didn't forget his name.
If he's not there, it's not because you forgot him.
I've got him circled. Kane and Moody, I-E. Y-I-E. If I look now into round 16 this week in the URC.
Yes.
The Champions Cup has come and gone for our teams. Our players are starting. I love this about that Japanese League One. Thanks to all the great coverage we get on SARugbymag magazine now through it, I mean, with your great connections in Japan, is how the big boys are now just starting to make their presence felt. Every time you look at a report, it's Damien Dialandi. It's
Jesse Creel.
It's Malcolm Marx.
Malcolm Marx.
It's Cheslin Colby. It's Quagga Smith.
Curtly Aronson.
Franco Mostert. Do they have to prove themselves?
Exactly, mate. No, they're doing the job over there. And as you say, all of the Springbok players are starting to warm up because test season is dawning.
And we've got a great test run because we have the Barbars warm-up game. I understood it's going to be in Cape Town. The famed Barbarians Football Club. Macron's also the sponsor of that jersey. So we'll definitely be getting wonderful giveaways with that.
Nice.
A Boks jersey. Maybe invite Monty, the Boks legend.
Yes.
In. 10 matches he played for the Barbars, 102 tests for the Boks. Well, maybe get the Barbarians to let him hand out the jersey. Because he did that when the women Boks played against the Barbarians.
Okay.
And it was a very good luck token for the Boks because they beat them by 50-odd points.
Brilliant.
So I said, Monty, go give the Barbarians a jersey again, and we can be guaranteed a Bok win of 50.
Magic Monty.
Bok by more than 10. So we then got Italy in the 2 tests, which is going to be good tests at home. It's not the walkover of yesteryears, the 100-pointers, the 60-pointers. And then Georgia for that one-off test, which is a great physical battle before we get into the Rugby Championships, where we swat aside the Australians. And then we go for the big ones. 6th and 13th of September, where we test Super Rugby Pacifica against Japanese League One. We see which one is the fastest, which one is the quickest.
That will settle the URC Super Rugby debate.
Well, there won't be any URC players in it. It'll just be Japanese one.
No, there'll be some URC blokes in.
So, mate, I want you off the cuff. You've seen them all play.
Off the cuff, mate.
Give me your 15-1 and see how it compares with mine.
Are we talking about for the season opener?
No, season opener against Italy. Forget the warm-up game.
Yeah, you see
he's taking out a team. No, the team that you would pick right now. Not what team he's going to pick.
I'm going to pick my favourite team.
Yes, that's what I've done.
My strongest team, even though I wouldn't do that against Italy.
That's what I've done.
That's what you've done, mate. So I think, can I start with the most important position in the team?
I want you to go 15-1, mate. We have a format here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be Willie Leroux. Fussy is...
Just pick your team, man.
I'm doing it on the fly, so I have to think about it. Let's go with, because he's been the guy, let's go with Gaza at fullback. For now, you can't change your team. Okay, Gaza at fullback. We stick with the same wing, so KLA, Cheslin. I think it's going to be the old guard. So it'll be Jesse, Dukes. I would start Sacha
just give me
at
your
10.
team, okay?
I'm giving you my team.
Don't
Sacha
say
at 10.
I would start or Rassi would. I'd say right now we're in the pub. It's like 15-1 plus your reserves.
Sacha at 10.
Give it to me. No, go 15.
I already did. I've done 15. I said Gaza at 15.
Just run it out.
The
15.
wings are Cheslin Colby, Curtly Aronson, Jesse Creel, Damien Dallender. At 10, I'd play Sacha. 9 is a tricky one. I would go with Morne van den Berg right now.
Okay.
Just to give him a run.
Let's
I want
move
to
on.
see that. Cam Hundercorn at 8.
Yeah.
No. Sia Kolisi at 8.
Yeah.
Cam at open side. Blindside flank is an interesting one. Peter Steph de Toy, I suppose.
But he hasn't played a game yet, so you can't pick him.
Yeah. Ulrich is out. Ron Fenter, I don't know. Ben Jason Dixon.
Okay, you're just going to play with 14.
We'll just play with 14 guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blocks?
Let's go Irvin and Ergia Snyman.
Okay.
Oh, that's a nice combo. Definitely at tight head prop, I'm going to go Wilco Low.
Yeah.
Malcolm Marx.
Excited I'm getting.
No, actually, no. Let's go Bongi to start and then Lucid Ox.
Bongi to start with this kind of form. Wow. That's a gimme, eh? You're very charitable.
Who's my blind side?
He's a charitable. So let me just tell you, because it shows how similar our thinking is, but I think it's the thinking of every South African rugby support out there, and it's a credit to what was built between 19 and 23 with the Boks. Kind of the form that these players have shown. They've won 2 World Cups. There's never been that post-World Cup handover for these guys. They've continued to improve. They've continued to kind of reinvent themselves in different roles. So I like your fact that you went Damien Williams at fullback. I think Fit is the incumbent. Fussy's playing well. He'll be in the mix. Cheslin, you have to play him. He's just the best in the world.
Yeah.
Although, isn't there about 19 winners in Super Rugby Pacifica that are the best?
They're so good, those guys.
They're so good, those
Can't
guys.
stop
In
those
those
guys.
63,
Macca Springer, mate. He can make the box
in those
anytime.
63, 58 games.
Correct.
I do love Super Rugby, by the way, for its entertainment value.
Mate, I don't know.
But
It
it's
sounds
not
like you're flipping. It sounds like you're joining the popcorn crowd.
It's not test rugby,
Worried
mate.
about you, mate.
Okay, then I don't look past the big guy at 12, Damien Delandy.
Did you say 13, Jesse?
I'm getting to 13,
Who
mate.
goes 12 first? Okay.
I do.
Okay.
12, 13.
Yeah,
I told you we're going 1 to 15. So Jesse Creed at 13.
Yeah.
Kane Moody at 11. Kirtley is there. He'll come into the mix.
Okay.
But I just want Kane
You
to be...
forgot about Kirtley, mate. I can't believe it.
I said Kirtley is in the
Oh,
mix.
did you? Okay.
Jesus, mate. Where have you been?
I'm worried about you. Forgot about him.
So I've got Kane Moody. I've got him on the left wing. I think he can play left and right when he can play 13.
Yeah.
Give him that confidence of maybe play him in the 2 tests against Italy, play Kirtley against Georgia, and then decide if you want Kirtley in for the Australian test. But I think between the two of them, you've got Cheslin who picks himself on the one win, but the other guys, let them get a lot of game
Say his
time.
name. Who is it?
No,
At 10.
At 10. No, it's Sacha. Sacha's at 10, and Pollard comes off the bench. And that, to me, is how it's got to be
Agreed.
for the next 3 years. And if they're both injured, Marnie comes in and plays. He's good enough to play there. So that would be my three selections. And they're going to be games you're going to play Pollard and have Sacha on the bench.
Yeah.
Or maybe play Sacha at fullback, Damien at 12 as you play around with options. But I think there's a changing of the guard. And it's Sacha. He is the 10. And we've got to... It took us long enough to recognize Ches and Colby in this country. Sacha will be the highest paid rugby player in the world.
100%.
In the next, or the most sought after in the next 2 years.
Guaranteed.
After the next World Cup. He's the closest I've seen to a Carter in the natural way he plays the game. It's the closest I've seen to a Herschel Gibbs when it comes from schoolboy talent. He can do it all.
Spot on.
It's can he keep his feet anchored? Can he keep his feet on the ground and reach for the stars?
Yeah.
That's going to be the key. Dobber has to manage him well.
Yeah.
His mates, his dad has to manage him well in that sense. He's got an incredible flamboyant personality. He's an extrovert in that sense. And we know the jealousy and the tall poppy syndrome, especially in South Africa, especially in New Zealand.
Yep.
A kid's so good, they want to pull him down, make him part of the mediocre chain. So, but he's there, and I think Handre Pollard has recognized that he's got to play a new role. It was nice to see him, though, play well for Leicester, score 10 points this weekend, and show that he's coming back to the Bulls, not for a retirement payout, but to basically make it to the World Cup squad. And putting him on the bench doesn't mean he doesn't come on like a Mornay Steyn and kick the winning kick in the 2027 World Cup final. But in the way we want to play, that's why I go with Grant Williams at 9 and Sacha at 10. And then with that experienced midfield, but if you're then bringing a Damon into 12 or you're playing a hooker at 13, Jury's at Jorenzo Julius at 13 as the season progresses. And Fassi at 15. Fassi maybe on the wing even. You're starting to get that blend. And Pimpy's there as a backup. Wonderful options in our back line. Outside of Williams at 9, where do we go in halfback, you know? So Reinach, 34, but I still think he's the guy on the bench. Faf, we don't really know what to expect. He must come back and prove himself. You know, Morne van den Berg is a good player. And Jaden, to me, something needs to change, and maybe it will shift when he's back in the Boks mix. But Sacha, without a doubt, he's my starting 10, and Pollard to come off the bench. And if they can stay fit, I mean, that's a wonderful twosome to have, knowing that Marnie's there in the background. And you've also got the option of a Damian Willems,
Totally.
a Cheslin Colby, who
Jordan
can play,
Hendricks,
Jordan Hendricks, who can play in that 10 channel.
Yep.
I think Jordan has fallen a bit behind the pecking order, just in his all-round game. Good player, but if we're talking about those big top tests, just the way he cut Connacht apart, Sacha. 25 minutes of absolute brilliance, 3 tries. We can talk about him improving his defense. We can talk about him improving potentially his game management, more for the collective, not the individual. But when you score 3 tries like that in 25 minutes, beautiful kick over the ball, embrace that natural talent. And for me, it's embrace the glory of his talent. Like we should have done with Damian Willems. When he came into the scene, and all we tried to do is he can't kick for poles, he can't do this. Let's not look at what he can't do, and let's just be euphoric about what he can do. He is an incredible rugby talent. We should be thankful he plays for the Springboks. I'm pretty thankful he plays for the DHL Stormers, and he plays out of Cape Town. So Sacha, I think this is the changing of the guard season. It was coming at the end of last year.
Yeah.
He didn't go on the end of the tour because of injury, but he played those. He started in Ellis Park. That, to me, was his litmus test. And when they kept him on for the 80 minutes, that was Rassie saying, you're good enough, my boy. Now we need to grow into that role. Pollard, mature, happy to accept. I've got my 2 World Cup golds. I've got a World Cup bronze. I've won everything, basically. I'll do a job to the next World Cup.
Also, Pollard's proven he doesn't actually need to be picked to win a World Cup. He can be sitting at Leicester doing calf raises and get a call just before the
last pool game.
Exactly.
That's
and just rock up and win a World Cup medal.
I think the key to his 13 from 13 in the goal kicking was he says he was mowing the lawn when he got the message.
Go, mate.
Precision on
Don't
those lines.
underestimate it.
Precision on those lines. The way you have to concentrate in mowing the lawn.
True.
Because he was focused and centered for that World Cup. We're going to get to the kickers and that for a little piece I did with Grok earlier in the week as well. But going into my pack, interesting now. So you think Peter Steph du Toit is injured. He hasn't played this season. BJ Dixon's injured. Franco Mostert's kind of on the wrong side of 30. And on a second, maybe we're not that flash when it comes to the big blindside bruiser. So given that, I've taken Cam Honeycomb and I've shifted him to 7. I'm thinking he is our form 8 at the moment, with Evan Ruiz second to that, playing here.
Yeah.
Siya Kolisi, a different type of 8, playing for the Sharks. But for purpose of a loose trio, I've gone with Ruiz at 8, Honeycomb at 7, and King Kolisi at 6.
Nice.
You don't look past Eben. He only has to play one game before the international season is already done.
He's in.
He's in. And you know, this guy didn't play for 5 months. And he goes out and he leads the Sharks to a dramatic 1870
Yes,
win.
he does, mate. Yes, he does.
And it was like, are you guys entertained enough? They took it
I'm
right
not sure
up
he
to
actually
the
helped, but yes, he was there. Yes.
Look, he took out the whole pack at the bottom. Who knows what happened at the bottom of that?
Right.
That little melee.
Exactly.
But it was great to see him back.
Yeah.
That little
Bit
tug
of
of
edge,
the little tug of the jersey, him flinging some Scottishman back to London. The little powwow at the bottom. Is this what I've been missing for 5 months? I'm back, baby.
Exactly.
So Evan's always going to be there. And then Archie Snyman, to me, has been the form South African lock. Doesn't matter where they're playing in the world. He has been outstanding. I would say he's been the form lock in world rugby.
Sure.
And he has added a dimension to his game. It's not just all flash, offloads and that. He's playing in the best club team in the world, Leinster. And it's been great from a Bok point of view to have him there. And very close to Jock Ninabe as well. So he's also getting those fundamental basics instilled into his game as much as anything else. Going into my front row, the beast, the new beast, Oxenchair. He breaks backs. He breaks everything. He's there. He's going to be there for a long time.
Yep.
Marks and Sheehan, for me, the two best hookers in the world.
Yeah.
And both have similar kind of roles. You know, it's incredible stat the other day from Dan Sheehan. He's played 100 professional games. He scored 58 tries. And he's only started in 60% of them. That's what happens when you play for Leinster. You play for Ireland.
There's a cool clip on Twitter this week where he throws into the line out and then just jogs across the field, takes a pop pass and scores in the corner.
His appreciation and his running lines are just incredible. He just knows where that try line is.
No, he's a great player.
He's the Christian Cullen of hookers. The way he runs support lines.
What did I put in that coffee, mate?
The way he runs support lines.
Yeah.
So him and Malcolm Marx, to me, set the standard when it comes to all-round skill levels for hookers in the world. And then there is Frans Malherbe's injured. Neerton Forshia suspended. Vincent Koch has been indifferent in terms of his form. Trevor Nyankani, we don't even know where he's at the moment.
Think he's coming back.
Wilco! You can't go beyond that, oak.
Yeah.
Wilco Low. So that at the moment would be the 15 that I would take on. If you think of what I haven't picked, a Fassi, a hooker, a Lucanio Am, a Mani Lebok, a Morne van der Berg, and that's just in the backs. And then we get into the pack, guys on the peripheral and that. That gives me the greatest comfort that it's box by 10. It's going to be box by 10 in every test this year. I'm very excited about the box.
I can tell, mate. It's going to be a good season.
Come on, let's get this URC done and dusted.
Exactly. I can't wait to get to Eden Park, mate. For me, that is just going to be gold.
Just want to say welcome to the show.
Thanks, bud. It's good to be here. Anything else you want to say?
Can you give me your impressions and your wrap of the URC in the last?
Mate, we played 4 games, the South African teams this weekend, and we were lucky in 3 of them, and we're well beaten in the 4th one.
Such a pessimist.
And it really is the truth, because the Stormers,
Your truth.
The Stormers won on a try that was called off. The Bulls won.
All right, Zels, before your positivity kills me. 3 3 out of 4. Lucky. Before your positivity kills us,
Yes.
let's get positive about Stecco,
Yes.
the power plays, sustainability,
Charged up,
the
mate.
future. Stecco is the future with what they produce.
Killer, what?
Not bad, eh? I like that. But sustainability,
Yeah.
power, and the future. So kind of like when we spoke to the guys at Stecco, they said, if you can get our messaging across by way of what's going on the field, and then we just presented them with Sacha's 3 tries and clips. Said,
Done.
You are the new
Science,
you're the
delivered.
new Sacha, you're the new Stecco ambassador.
Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu.
Yeah, future, sustainability, and power.
There we go, mate.
I mean,
And
Of-
suave.
of the 3 tries, do you think they were better than his try assist for Hartzenberg's try?
Mate, that thing where he picks up the loose ball and then just Barry Sanders does the swivel, the spin, and he's suddenly in the clear. Like, that is just mind-blowing for me. And he gets out of that thing and just breaks away, chip kicks. Eventually the Stormers get that scrum and score off it. He was just spectacular. I don't know what to choose. There's just too much. How do you grade that stuff? I suppose the flick pass for Suleiman's try was probably the moment.
What do you make of his try celebration to the crowd? Who was he talking to?
I don't know, mate.
Huh?
I don't know.
What
I
was he
don't-
trying to say?
I don't know, mate. I'm not a youngster. I can't tell
What
you,
was the
mate.
message in
I
there?
don't know, mate. What do you think?
What do you think now?
Exactly.
There was no short circuit in Sacha FM this weekend.
But we're talking about a youngster at the Stormers, that youngster at the Sharks, who for me is just absolutely blue chip. Ethan Hooker with the hold-up try-saving tackle. Ludicrous. That guy is super cool. I don't think his voice is broken yet, but he's doing incredibly
you
manly
mean?
things. He's superb.
No, he's a great talent. You were the first one to rave about him, and I thought you were speaking about hookers and
As usual.
and number 2s and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you said to me last year, watch this kid at the Sharks. He can play 11, 13, 12. He's just big, he's strong, and he's a product of KZN. He's not an import.
Boom.
And he's going to do big things, and he's going to be around. And he already has. He just looks like he belongs there.
Yeah.
And we've got used to him breaking the line, scoring big tries, but just how comfortably did he just get under that guy and just hold him up?
Beautiful moment.
Beautiful moment. And then, if you're a Bulls fan, this one's for you, Brendan Nell, because I know there's not a bigger fan than you. Johan Gerson went off
Yeah.
13 all. You think big call. On comes Keegan Johannes. He misses what he would think was a fairly comfortable kick. Everyone moans and groans, and then he takes what is a very hard kick
40 meters, mate.
with a very difficult win. Thorman Park
Yeah.
locals going mad in Limerick, and he kicks it.
He slots it for the win, mate. Love that. That was gold.
So that to me was my power moment. The future is Sacha, and I just want Ethan Hooker to sustain that.
I mean, so first of all, I'm very chuffed that we won 3 games. I wish we'd won 4, but certainly there was some fortune smiling down on us, because that Bulls game, Cam Honeycomb quick taps the ball off the base of the scrum off his knee, which is not legal, and then Marcel Coetzee goes and scores the try, and the Bulls win 16-13 in a game where the ref had Munster down to 14 men for 14 minutes when they shouldn't have been down. It's fabulous. So I love the fact that finally something actually smiles on us. Fortune smiles on South African teams, because we're usually the ones that don't have the luck. So that was great. And then the Sharks just sneaked it. I think all those players you mentioned, the Sharks who are underperforming, I think there's the common thread there is they're at the Sharks. And I definitely think that things are not clicking there the way they need to. And hopefully that changes in the near future. I think Urban coming back will definitely help in that regard. So the Sharks need to find their mojo and find it fast. Our 2 top teams, the Sharks and the Bulls, it's difficult to watch them at times because they're not the most convincing. Kudos to them for finding a way to win without playing their best rugby, and you can only imagine what those teams can do when they finally click. So that's your wrap, mate. Lions, very underwhelming, disappointing. Hopefully they're going to turn things around, but it's not looking good.
And you didn't even mention the Stormers. For those who don't know, the Stormers got 5 league points. They beat Connacht. Zels just said it was a lucky win, moved on. That's fine, Zels, okay? We said it would
I'm
be
going to quote Dobbo, we deserved to lose.
Yeah, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And I love that. That's gold.
As a bloke said to me at the gym, he said, yeah, we were lucky. I said, yeah, Dobbo acknowledged. He said, it's easy to say that when you win. Now, had we lost, it's like when Handre Pollard's Boks finally beat the All Blacks, and he said, not thank goodness we got a broadcaster who went back 43 times to make sure a Messon had actually taken Skulk out, and Pat Lambie kicked that great kick. He was like, we only played at 40%. No, mate, you didn't play 40%. You played as well as you could to win it. Just accept it and enjoy the ride. So I did say to Dobbo in conversation, my beautiful, good friend Dobbo, I said, I thought you were quite mild in your post-match press conference. Emotionally charged, I said to him, but mild. I mean, on your defense, coach, because you guys could have conceded 7 tries, not 5. So bank the 5 league points and move on. I remember John Bentos, who played for the Lions. They played against Border in 1997 in East London, the Border Bulldogs, when they could still play a bit. They were awful, and they just won the game. And he came to the press conference, and he just come over from rugby league, from the north of England, and that hardcore accent. And they kept on asking questions. He kept on asking the journalists what was in the ledger. A W. What? A W. So when this tour is over, all we're going to look on is the W for this game.
True.
So it would have been heartbreak for the Stormers if they had the most incredibly disciplined game and they had lost 35-32.
Spot on, mate.
And I would rather take a shocking performance with 5 tries and
a win.
And 5 league points.
No doubt.
On the Lions, they're gone. Toast.
You're giving up on them, mate.
Mate, I gave up on them when I saw their squad start the season. You convinced me to start backing them. You wore the Spider-Man jersey. You said, "Die lose Cambrol." Die lose Cambrol.
Not quite that way, but yes.
And I said, I looked at Robbie Vessels, who does Die Lulop, and I thought, could this be the season? Gaan die seisoen wees, ons die Lulop gaan sien. They didn't brill. They brilled for 30 minutes, and it was against the Stormers. The only time I didn't want them to brawl. And they beat the Stormers.
Yeah.
But that team that lost to Benetton, I can't believe that's the team that beat the Stormers and played in the first month of the season. They were diabolical. They come back from a shocking tour. They get blanked by Glasgow.
Yeah.
They get pumped by Edinburgh. They're back home. Benetton had to go away and play in Cast. And they were leading up until the last minute. Incredible performance. They go home, get on a plane, and come to the Highveld and are 22-3 up after 20 minutes and smash in the Lions. That, to me, unforgivable performance, unacceptable. I saw all the quotes this week on SA Rugby magazine. We'll play for cash. We'll play for... No, I don't think so. Play for yourselves, guys, because you're being a disgrace. Your performance.
Lay it on, mate.
You know, poor Morne van der Berg. How's he going to play for the Boks when that's what he's playing around? I mean, that guy shines bright among the rabble at the moment. And those players are better than that.
They are better than that. And I think, you know, you look at those performances, like I said, those are 3 lucky wins. And the Lions are just, I mean, they are out of gas. And I just wonder, without being sort of, you know, melodramatic, I just wonder whether there isn't a bit of campaign fatigue for all these South African teams because they've played back to back to back to back. It feels like they've been playing rugby non-stop for 5 years.
But on that point, one of the things that I saw Gregor Paul wrote in New Zealand Herald, fine journalist, he doesn't know if the Ricky Ione move to Leinster is actually a good one.
I saw that, mate.
Because take Geordie Barrett, for example. He hasn't had an off-season in 2 years. We haven't had an off-season since we went north.
Correct, mate.
It's like people in this country don't want to accept, and it's not an excuse. It's absurd for us to be playing the Rugby Championship as we are playing it, and to be playing in the Northern Hemisphere as we are playing it.
Totally.
Our players just don't get off. We've kind of got to mix and match them. We've got to give them time off in competition, which isn't the same as having an off-season and coming back and playing.
Totally.
So
you said to New Zealand, ship out 50 to 100 of your best players and then play non-stop for 3 seasons.
To that, come play in the North. Come play that very weak URC campaign.
Yeah.
Come base yourselves in London or in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Play that in that very weak tournament, the Crusaders. Then play in the Champions Cup at the same time. And now go back and play against the South Africans who aren't playing up north.
No, exactly.
And the Australians in Rugby Championship. No, man, it's just it's incredible what our players have achieved in the last 3-4 seasons. To think that we've hosted 3 URC finals, We've got 2 teams in the top 4 of the URC. We've got the Stormers, who can climb to potentially a 5th place finish. 3 of the 8, we should have 3 in the top 8, going into the Champions Cup. We won the Challenge Cup a year ago. We won the first URC. Through that, those same players, combined with the players from Japan, the odd one from France, and went on to win the Rugby Championship, went on to win 2 World Cups. I mean, it's mind-blowing.
No, totally.
What our guys have achieved, and we're unbeaten at the end of the year tour. In December, we were putting 40 points past Wales at Cardiff with guys who had started playing that previous September.
Exactly, mate.
Wow.
It's
when
nuts.
you put it like that,
It's nuts.
it's crazy, man.
It is nuts, and I think our players deserve a lot of credit for their for their resilience mentally to get through that. They do look like teams, and this is really what I thought when I watched the Bulls and I watched the Sharks, is they look like teams that are just coming out of preseason. They look like teams that don't have cohesion and familiarity. There's a bit of ring rust, which is impossible because they've been playing non-stop for all this time. And I just think somewhere along the way, our teams have kind of almost lost the identity. Like usually you start a season, you do a preseason block, big heavy conditioning block. Then you sit with the coaches and they give you the plan for the season, the goals, the theme, all that sort of crap. And then you start the season and you build towards achieving that objective, and you either reach it or you don't, and then it's cut-off time. Our guys, it's just been an endless campaign with no end in sight. So I think it might explain a little bit why there's this inconsistency, and it's almost like playing below our level, which we're not used to seeing from some of these sides.
But it also explains why Rassie used 50-plus players last year and may use 60-plus players this year, and really balance these players and say, I've got 14, 15 tests, but there's really 6 big ones, and I've got to have that best 23 out there for the 6 big ones.
And I think, mate, to that point, this injury thing in the older players is going to come like a thief in the night. It's going to happen unexpectedly for the older guys. And so having those plans with depth, I think, is massively important. As much as we want everybody that was at the last 2 World Cups to win a 3rd one, I think the reality is it's going to be quite fine.
Well, if you look at why Leinster are so successful, more so than any other side in terms of how they manage their players, it's the incredible squad depth they've got.
Big time.
So on an international level, you'd say the team closest to Leinster and a club level will be the Springboks, in that you can nurse your players through starting 7 out of 15, where the best Leinster players would start 6 out of 18 in the URC, and they'd still end top of the table because of how strong the second-tier player is, and also the academy player that's coming through. But looking at the URC of the last weekend, I was interested in the Bulls fight, and I really enjoyed that because they could have rolled over and gone away. And 51 minutes, you depower the Bulls. You go to uncontested scrums. Now, again, maybe Munster also took 14 minutes to have it figured out because they didn't want contested scrums. So it's easy when you lose the game at the end to say, wow, we played 14 minutes with 14 players. But you played it with uncontested scrums, so your defensive alignment could be there. You didn't really feel the missing of that one player. You could have brought on 2 winners to go down in the front row at that stage. So I was very skeptical of how quickly it went to, well, no one can come back on. Everyone's got an HIA. Everyone's got this. Everyone's got that.
Did you see Wilco ask Jean Klein? He was like, really? Is the guy injured? And Jean Klein was like, yeah, no, he's injured. They were like waiting to start a scrum. He was having a bit of a laugh on Wilco.
I think that guy, everyone just started, we don't want Wilco anymore. So for them to win there without 30 minutes of Bulls scrum dominance, I thought was outstanding. And, Jake looks older every time I see him because of the way these Oaks put him through the arena as well. When it got to 78 minutes and those last 2 kicks, that all they had to do was stick it right back in the 22 of Munster and say, we're 16-13 up. All you got to do is you got to run it back 80 meters to score. In those conditions, they were never going to do it. Put the ball out on the full. And the next one was even as bad. And the Bulls ended up spending the last 3 minutes basically defending their line from 2 kicks. Now, you tell me what goes through a player's mind that on the 78th minute.
But mate, look at Cam Undercombe. The guy's a Springbok number 8. He's quick tapping off his knee at the base of a scrum. I don't know. I mean, I suppose that's some of the details. As a coach, you look at it and be like, these guys, coaching, you can't be like, oh, well, I've told the players. You have to make sure that the execution is there. So, yeah, I just look at a lot of that stuff. I just wonder where we are in some of our teams. And we've definitely got the quality of player. I don't think that's an issue. But between this stress on these guys through the conditioning and this long campaign, I think it is quite tough. I was very impressed with the Bulls' defense. And that kind of talks to my point about our guys have got heart and they've got will and they've got desire. I mean, the Bulls made more than 200 tackles, but what the Bulls didn't get right is they made almost no carries. I think it was less than 80 carries, and they were conceding a turnover at a rate of 5 passes to every turnover. Now, Leinster, Munster, those guys operate between 13 and 16 passes per turnover conceded. The Sharks and the Bulls are both at the 5 passes rate. So, like, our ability to, when we want to hold on to the ball, to control what we're doing is not good. And that's something that has to get fixed if we're going to be at the sharp end of this competition and actually win it.
Look, it's going to take an incredible effort or some freakish kind of incident for Leinster not to win it this year. They are streets ahead of anyone else. And you watch them play. They recruited with Geordie Barrett and Adhe Snyman brilliantly. 2 players don't make a team, but they certainly add to that team. So it's like I said, a couple of red cards. Just if you're going to have 40 awful minutes, Leinster do it in the semi-final, the first half of the semi-final.
Yeah.
But so everyone's playing for second place basically and for pride. Stormers want to get a top 8. They want to play in that quarterfinal. Hopefully upset someone because they'll be playing away from home. But we have to shift our attention away from URC in that sense to now to Boks by 10, that box setup, okay? And I think when Russie's looking at the matches, he's also not looking at the results as such. He's like, who's doing what? Cameron Honeycomb has come through well. He had that 4 or 5 weeks off.
Yeah.
Kanan Moody has come back, and the last 3 weeks he looks like the Kanan Moody who made his test debut in Sydney. Was brilliant against the Wallabies. Rowan Nokia continues to grow, and he to me is going to be the replacement for Franco Mostert.
Yeah.
In terms of his engine, the tackles he's made, he's so understated. He's one of those players you thought, is he just a good URC player? But he stepped in under duress in the test scene. It's done brilliantly, and then the beast. Yeah, Hendrik Wessels. That guy is going to come. I know it's Russie's pet project. It has been for a while.
Yeah.
Pet being the operative word, the staffy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
hooker, they got to be able to play hooker and prop. What a luxury to have on the bench. So I took that from that game in terms of a box setup.
Do you think we might go 4-4 bench, mate? Because
I
he
love
can
that.
cover 2 spots. What?
We used to start with 14. Hey, or Wilco in the front, the rest in the back. Wow, they've always got a numbers advantage in the back.
Exactly.
Wilco, this is getting tough.
These guys are making me sweat.
Hey, he's hooking and he's dangling the loosened and tightened in his arms.
I can see that, man.
Hey, probably go to uncontested again from the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was great. Then the Lions, obviously, Morne van der Berg is just playing a lost cause at the moment.
Yeah.
The Sharks, they're out of kilter. I mean,
Very
Ethan
much
Hooker
so.
has...
That guy's a superstar.
Yeah,
I'll
and
tell you
and
that.
again, people say his defensive play, he's not doing certain things, but the way he did that try-saving tackle, Sia Khaleesi is just playing with guts and raw determination. Evans' class is there. But Andre the Giant, nice to see him have big games. But collectively, a side with so much quality should be really putting teams away. They shouldn't be losing at home to a weakened Leinster team minus 18 of the internationals.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be waiting till the 83rd minute
Totally,
to
mate.
beat Edinburgh in Edinburgh. So they top 4. They will end in the top 4, but they should be they should be right up there with Leinster in terms of the quality.
Oh, just in their performances, even if they were 4th, you'd still be like, okay, but let's watch these guys play. Wow, I can see how they're contenders. But when you watch the Bulls and the Sharks play, there's just that alacrity, that sort of sync where you can actually see this is what they're doing and this is what they're trying to achieve, and there's a slickness to it. It's just not there. They're finding ways to win, mate.
I do hear a helicopter. I don't know if it's Mazzotti or if it's John Plumtree or if it's Borchi.
No, it's Imad with the drone, mate.
It's Imad with the drone. Come to see. What are you talking about, the Sharks? We are black, we are white, we are dynamite. Okay.
Yeah.
Sharks to me, like, give them the credit for what they're doing in terms of the top 4, but they're not doing anything we wouldn't have expected with the quality of player. And you think, imagine if Plum had the likes of what's in the Lions, where would he be? Probably 12th, 13th in the table. So for me, they have underperformed. Dobber was very, very stern in saying they don't make a top 8 regardless of all the injuries they've had. They've underperformed. But when I look at that game again, the individual magic of Sacha, and then the guy whose performance really, really made me smile was Damian Willemse. He got through the 80, playing at 12, plays at 13, interchanges. A fit Damian Willemse is an incredible player to watch, and he's matured his game so much. So what we've seen from Sacha was a bit like we saw from Damian when he came on the scene in the Currie Cup for Province against the Bulls, scored that incredible solo try, missed 2 conversions, people said he couldn't kick. So he is the senior statesperson at the moment in that back line. And for the Boks, that's a bloody good thing. 15, 12, 10, even if he has to play on the win, a finisher or a starter, he's won 2 World Cups, the youngest ever. He just has to stay injury-free. So I was impressed with that. Salman Murat, again, I thought Murat...
He had a good game.
He's played well
Yeah,
in the
he had a good game.
last 2 months. You know, he has a lot of detractors out there.
Yeah.
He's played well.
Yeah.
So an important win for the Stormers, took them into the top 8. It's a big week next week. They play the Benetton this weekend, but a big week next week in Western Province. It's the province presidential elections again. And... look, they've been in administration for the best part of 3 years. They're now out of administration. You covered them through the best part of that. It was a shambles.
Shambles, mate. Shambles. Scrambling to survive was old Dobbo.
But, I mean, the administration was a shambles.
Very much so.
Zalt Marais was a shocker as president. And I, back in the day when I was at the Cape Times, it was Peter Joost or him. I chatted to both of them. I knew Peter from his Bok days. Wonderful servant of South African rugby. Incredible player in the non-racial side, pre-unity, an icon at Tygerberg Club in Ravensmead,
Yep.
a Springbok selector, done it all. I mean, he's a rugby man. But I went with Zalt. And in hindsight, Zalt made a lot of promises about breaking clicks, about doing certain things. All he did was break the bank and break province. And it was unfortunate. It's one of those decisions you make. You make a call as someone in the industry. You can't sit on the fence. You've got to back someone.
100%.
And I back Zalt.
Based on the information you
I
had.
back Zalt.
Yeah.
It was an embarrassing moment because I had to live with that for a long time. Every time someone said, you back Zalt, I said, no, I know I back Zalt.
Yeah.
Dob and I once had a coffee. He said, can we agree on one thing? I got it wrong with Mazzotti, you got it wrong with Zalt. I said, I'm sure we can. Yes. Let's have this coffee and sit down.
Yeah.
So I see he's up for, I think it's the 29th or the 30th, the elections. He's up for, he's nominated himself for president, vice president, deputy president, executive member, and groundsman.
Mate, the more darts you throw, the more chance you have of hitting bullseye.
And groundsman for Newlands when no one plays anymore, okay?
Wow.
Zalt, Ronald Bantam, those guys, come on, you've had your time. Move on. Do what's right for the province and kind of put your support behind Kevin Kivitz, who's been in the system, again, Tygerberg, done well, great legal background. Spoke to him early last year about his aspirations, spoke to him late last year. We had a chat. And this is a guy who is devoid of an ego. He doesn't want to be that provincial president that thinks he runs rugby. The fact that there's an ownership now, that the Stormers don't belong to Western Province and such. Western Province is a 26% shareholder in the Stormers and the Western Province Currie Cup team. So this is primarily club focused. Amateur rugby, grassroots rugby, community rugby.
In the breadbasket of rugby.
Get it right. And I think Kevin Kivitz, and I know you guys are going to do an article, you interviewing him in this week. And I think in fairness, you guys will probably, you've interviewed Zalt how many times? Where he's told you what he's going to do, and it's just all bluster and thunder. And he's got that track record of being there and failed. This other guy hasn't been given a gap yet, Kevin Kivitz. So for me, a good weekend will be the Stormers beat Benetton. They go in top 6 because a lot of those teams will eliminate each other. And when those elections do happen next week, and we'll chat a bit more about it early next week, when they do happen, the right decisions are made in Western Province. And it's not going to be a decision that so much affects the Stormers or the Province Currie Cup team. It's going to affect community rugby in the province.
Yeah.
And I know when you chat to Kevin, you'll also get this. It's a freshness. It's a new age. A guy who doesn't come here with agenda. He doesn't come here with a past of pre-92, post-92. He actually just wants what's good for the province. And there's certainly no Tygerberg or Northern Suburbs bias in that. So if you're watching the show, there could be good things happening for Western Province rugby, or it could be just back to the disaster days of the last 4 or 5 years pre the ownership. And what you will then get is a 26% shareholder that's potentially going to be at odds with the owners. Red Dizer for a long, long time, for as long as they're there in any case. I mean, what's your feeling on, you covered the beat for so long with the Argus. SA Rugby magazine editor, with these administrators of not wanting to let go?
Yeah, I mean, and that's common to all amateur sports, right? Is you've got guys that are lifers that want to be in those spaces, that have either been involved from a playing point of view as a youngster or come through as a coach, and they just like to be in the sort of halls of power. And I think South Africa has taken a long time to bridge the gap from amateur sport to professional sport, and we are close to kind of completing that journey. And I think it's important for us to make sure that we have the right people in those positions of power, so that we're not hamstrung, we're not dragging an anvil with us into professionalism, because the teams that the Boks come up against, the teams that the Stormers, Bulls, Lions and Sharks face, don't have to deal with a lot of that sort of stuff. So it's very important for South African rugby, especially in a region like the Western Cape that produces the best schoolboys in the world, arguably. There's tons of talent that comes out of this region, and as much as a lot of it comes from the serious rugby schools, there's a lot of talent that comes from the community. So we need to make sure we have those. The governance there has got to be right.
But if you talk about schools as well, Next Gen, the site that takes all the global, they do a global schools ranking.
Yes.
End of the 24 season. We've now, in South Africa, just started our 25 season. But Polrus is ranked 1 globally. In the schools, Blackrock, the very famous Blackrock from Ireland, they second. Tuaranga Boys College from New Zealand, they third. New Zealand's 5 teams in the top 20, and we have 5 teams in the top 20. But 3 of those 5 teams come from the Western Cape. So it's Polrus ranked 1, Poljum ranked 7th, Pol Boys 17th, and we know that's interchangeable, and then Uffies and Grey. So when you've got 5 nurseries like that, and then you talk about all the other schools.
Correct.
That are there in the mix, that are producing Springboks. You look at, and I know we're based in Cape Town, so we tend to focus a lot on what's going on in Cape Town as well. But you look at a Durbanville High, you look at a Milnerton High, just up the road from you, how competitive they've been at the schools festivals. Yep. Stellenberg, that's entrenched themselves now. So a lot of those kids aren't going to a Pol Boys or Pol Gym. And then obviously in the southern suburbs, you've got the big 4 here of Bishop, Sachs, Weinberg and Rondebosch. And there's always a cycle. One of them is always doing fairly well and being competitive.
Yeah.
But that's all just in one province of schoolboy rugby. And then you're going into UCT, UWC primarily, and then obviously Marty, Stellenbosch University. I'm not forgetting the University of Technology, Pentech. There is so much talent here, and we haven't even spoken about what's in the Defence Force and the Police Force and that kind of thing. These guys who get elected to run community rugby, those players are basically in their hands.
Correct.
At a club level and also at a schools level. And that's why this election remains important. It's not about Western Province in the Currie Cup, and it's not about the DHL Stormers in the URC or the Champions Cup. It's about what happens to our communities, and also about having cohesion and calmness between the 74% shareholder and the 26% shareholder.
Beautiful, mate. You should run for the elections, mate.
I rest my case.
You would do a great job.
The prosecution
You would do a great job,
The
mate.
prosecution rests against Zelt. Defend Zelt for me.
No,
While
mate.
you come back.
Great first name. Obviously, you can't go wrong with that, mate.
Huh?
Didn't do great at Newlands, unfortunately.
I mean, look at the state of the place.
They need Handre to get down there with a lawnmower, mate.
Look at the state of the place, man. Eh?
Yeah.
I mean, when he went into that place, it looked like it had grass. So, yeah, our schoolboy rugby strong, our club rugby strong. Glad we're playing in the URC because it's preparing our players for test rugby.
Yes.
And I'm not disputing again. Super Rugby is a different animal. It's a fast-paced game. It's like saying we have the best T20 league, but we can't win it in cricket, but we can't win a 5-day test. But the only things that matter are 5-day tests. So, again, they've gone and made the same mistake. New Zealand, they're playing in this insular rah tournament that may have a negative effect in their test season, because the moment they get asked to scrum or tackle, it looks a bit different. What do you say to that,
Man, I just say relax, mate. Those guys are just yanking your chain.
They are. No, who says I'm not yanking their chain? Who says I'm not yanking their chain?
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to end off on one last thing, given that I've spoken a lot, and I'd really like you to speak some more. You know?
Mate, I'm just in awe of that shirt.
The Boks by 10.
It's
If
incredible,
you haven't
mate.
seen it, Boks by 10. And you know what you can do? We're going to put a little poll on the Keo WhatsApp channel, and in our newsletter and that. Speaking to the guys at Macron, they love the Boks by 10 concept. The signature of our show has always been Boks by 10. That if we are to produce some kit, be it t-shirts, hoodies and that, Boks by 10, would you wear it with pride? How many pre-orders can we get? And how many of you would want it? It would be a very interesting thing. Now, in this age of artificial intelligence that we live on,
yes,
everyone is either going to ChatGPT or Grok and saying, I saw it on Grok, I saw it on ChatGPT. So I did a very interesting little exercise while the cats were going mad, waking me up.
Okay.
And it's like, I asked Grok, Elon Musk's go-to on X, give me the 5 best goal kickers in the history of rugby. Gave me 5. I said, now give me 6 to 10. Gave me 10. And it's a 20,000 worder that's there on the Keo site. The answers are detailed and it's fantastic. But for the mistake of Francois Steyn and Morné Steyn getting mixed up all the time, the fact that they didn't realize that Morné Steyn actually kicked 2 kicks against the Lions, 2009 and 2021. The fact that Richie McCaw and Beauden Barrett were never mentioned. The fact that Handre Pollard was never mentioned.
What?
The fact that no French kicker was ever mentioned.
That's
and
fair.
it was, and it was like, so it was nice to go back and say, why have you not put Percy Montgomery in your top 10?
What? Who's the top 3, mate? Freddie Michalak.
No, he wasn't in there. I got him back. I got him into the top 20.
Wow.
By questioning. So go and have a look at it. It's actually a very interesting read. In terms of the one argument is because of more efficiency, it's not about longevity. The other one is that person scored a lot of points. That one didn't. Then I narrowed it down to give me the pre-96 top 10 and give me the post-96 top 10. And through 15 minutes of discussion, which they produced 20,000 words, I did get the list to change by 5. so the top 10 that originally...
Who's the most outrageous person in this list?
It's not so much outrageous, but I would just say that they love the Scots. They love the Hastings.
Oh,
Gavin
really?
Hastings is up there.
Oh, beautiful, mate.
Yeah, Gavin Hastings for his
Nice.
600 odd points.
Yeah.
Percy Montgomery didn't score enough points for 800, and he didn't kick a clutch kick, they said.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he maybe can make 11th, Grok told me.
Wow.
But Hastings just never in doubt, always there. So I don't know if Grok's got a little bit of a kilt.
I think,
he's
mate,
wearing a kilt. The
yeah.
kilted Grok.
Exactly.
But go to Keo, read it. It's just a fascinating read. What I would say is if you actually know your beans, the detail is great.
Oh, okay.
And it's a great resource for you guys at SA Rugby Magazine. Great resource to use. Just employ Grok and ChatGPT.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Who needs writers?
What they do need is prompters, and what they do need is someone with your articulation. So, given the fact that you were honest, to the point, and said, we got out of jail, 3 wins out of 4.
You want me to make
crushed
our
in
picks,
the
mate?
one. It's that time to predict the URC top 4 South African teams for the weekend and give me a score as well.
Ooh, really? Okay.
do it.
Okay.
Saves us from having to do it later.
Yeah,
in the
it does. It sure does, mate. So we've got a rematch of last year's final in Glasgow. The Bulls are in town. Franco Smith's got his team revved up. Josh McKay, their Kiwi fullback, has re-signed, mate. The last time that happened, I think, is when Edinburgh beat the Bulls a couple of weeks ago. Not a good sign. And from what reading between the lines and what the Bulls have said this week in the media, as much as they don't want it to be true, the Bulls are very tired after that game against Munster and they want to come home. So I think Glasgow are going to win, and I think Glasgow are going to win by 4 points. I'm going to say, 6 points. I'm going to say 28-22 to Glasgow on Friday night. Make your pick.
30-15 to Glasgow, 15 points and a comfortable one. The differential is what I'm more interested in. The scores could vary.
Yeah.
But it's going to be 15 points exactly to that point. They went over. They beat Bayonne. First team to beat Bayonne at home this season. Great win for the Bulls. Should have knocked over Edinburgh. Basically had their top 6 players on the bench. Came in and did a fantastic last 30. Just lost out to Edinburgh. And then in a real arm wrestle. History makers, the Bulls.
Yep.
They beat Munster, Thornton Park, the first South African team to win there in the history of the URC. And I think they want to come home, play those last 2 games at home. They know they're going to end third and conserve the energy for that. Beating Glasgow now won't make them come second. It will still be a tussle to get to second. So I've got them to go down by 15 points.
Jake said he's going to use this tour as a bit of a recce. Do you think maybe he plays with some selections and tactics against Glasgow to show Franco something he might not see?
Maybe Jake's already back in Pretoria.
Exactly.
And this is Andre's Beck and Chris Rousseau running the show this week. No, I just think Glasgow, they need a good win.
Yeah.
They took
Are they the second best team in the league? Do you think?
Yeah, I do. And they're the best club team in the league, and Leinster the best international team in the league. The best test team. To quote Danny Kerr, they're better than Ireland. Because Ireland doesn't have Achilles Snyman, and they don't have Geordie Barrett. That's why Danny Kerr says they're better than Ireland.
Okay, let's get to my howler of the week. My howler of the week is the Lions are going to beat Connacht.
I agree with you.
Really?
I do.
You just spent a half an hour slating the Lions, saying "Le Brolny," and now
we are going to see Dululu.
You're a shocker.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Shocker, I'm embarrassed for you.
Hey, relax. Come on, Josh. Just relax, man. Let's go for a surf, man. You like you live in America. Huh?
Okay, go. Why?
Steve Tully, where are Oakleys?
Yeah. We're all about the brands.
Rock, where are Oakleys?
In production.
So, do you know why I say that, Squire? Do you know why I say that, Zels?
Why is that, matey? Why is that?
It's because the one game that any team can come out, and usually does, play like they've never played all season, is when their coach gets bulleted 3 days before the game. They have nothing to lose. They play for each other because they also want to prove a point. It wasn't us. Look at Wales against Ireland in their first game. That try gets given to Wales. It's a 25-24 game, and Ireland potentially lose it.
Yeah.
With 4 minutes to go. They get out of jail. They score late. 28-18 heroic win, I think it was. Wales then just get pumped after that. So England go to Cardiff and score a record score. Ben Earls looks like Ma, Nonu, and Sonny Ball Williams combined in the midfield. Okay?
Best 12 ever.
That's how good he looks.
Yeah.
So I think it's not going to get better than it got for Connacht. And the Stormers play the kind of game that kept Connacht in it. All out attack. It's Gav Rich straight in business day. People come and watch you, win or lose, just score tries. The Lions have one game in them at least. It's got to be this game. If they don't beat Connacht, do you know what? Go on holiday and give the points. Give the points to whoever's
Just concede.
Just concede. Eh?
Give me a score.
I've got the Lions to win 41-32.
41-32, eh?
It's going to be a reversal of what happened to them. Only they're going to get the 41 this weekend. They won the back end of a 41-32 against Benetton. Always high-scoring games there. So I've got the Lions. Die Lions gaan wen. Hulle gaan brul.
As Dobbo said, the Connacht are the best attacking side statistically in the URC. I want to see how that pans out on the high fault on a fast pitch against a team that thinks exactly the same thing about themselves. I don't think it goes well for them. I also think that we start to see some of that Lions tight five fire come back. Asanati and Tlabakanya, people don't know this. When you translate that to English, it actually is John Deere. He is a bit of a tractor at the scrum, and I think we're going to see that this week. And I've got the Lions to win this one, 31-28.
31-28. Jeez. You're giving Connacht a lot, eh? 31-28.
31-28.
Okay. What have we got left?
Next up, Stormers at home.
No, let's go with the Sharks.
Oh, really? Okay, the late night Saturday night game. Sharks are at Ulster.
Sharks pump them, mate.
Mate, who knows?
No, Sharks pump them.
Who knows?
I've got the Sharks to win this one 35-25. I think this is the game that Eben just says, guys, enough.
I'm going to move you. You better win.
This is the game for the Springboard for when they come back to play at home. 2, and then they host the Stormers in the 4+5. They got to get ready for the Stormers. 4+5.
I think the Sharks do win this game, and I think they'd win this game because Ulster are missing brown sugar. Mike Lowry.
We were wondering if we can borrow a cup of brown sugar.
Is not playing this week. He's out injured.
Martin Lawrence.
And Martin Lawrence. Mike Lowry is very dangerous fullback. In space, can hurt you. He showed that against the Stormers a bit. He's a deadly player. Stephen Moore, the centre, also out. Likes to score tries against South African teams. I think it is Stephen Moore. Stuart Moore. And I'm going to give it to the Sharks, but only based on what the team looks like on paper.
The message to the Sharkies is if you can't beat Ulster in Belfast with your
concede defeat,
with your fully laden Springboks, you shouldn't bother going to Dublin for a final against Leinster because it
I
would
think they
get
know that
very
already,
ugly.
mate. It will.
So go out there and do us proud.
Yeah.
We are black, we are white, we are dynamite. Sia Khaleesi to lead from the front. Ethan Hooker to be on the scoreboard.
Give him the ball.
And Kanya to show us some razzle and dazzle. And
Like
Jordan
he's back,
Hendricks
yeah.
to not miss the sitters. The guy's kicking at 90%. I didn't expect those misses. So I got them to win 35-25. And then the final one, the big one, really the only one I care about.
Yo. I didn't realize you love Benetton so much, mate.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The most improved team in the competition outside is Zebra. Great to see the Italians. They wanted to shut Zebra down. Look, I wanted the Italians kicked out of the Six Nations 2 years ago. I'm glad they stayed. Now I want Wales up. I want us in. So, but Benetton, the international 15, okay? We got DV Devenager. He would have loved to play the game against his old team, but he's not available. He'll be in the coach's box.
For the Stormers,
For those who still underestimate Benetton in this country, guys, do a bit of research. Gals, do a bit of research. Benetton are a very good side.
They are.
For a team to go and nearly beat Cast as they did, they've got something in them.
Yep.
They've had some big wins this season, and they went to Ellis Park and they pumped the Lions. Something
Sure did.
not one South African team has done. The Sharks went to Ellis Park and got pumped by the Lions. They've got some very good players. Half the national, I'm spitting all over you there. Sorry,
That's
man,
okay,
I'm getting
matey.
so excited. Half the Italian national team is there, and you've also got Jacob Umaga playing there. For those who don't know that is the nephew of Tana Umaga. His father, Mike Umaga, played for Samoa, Rugby League and Rugby Union, but he played for England because he was born and raised there, and he now plays his rugby in Benetton. So a wonderful little story there. He's a good player. There's a good South African mix always in Benetton, and they've always had good South Africans playing there, especially that guy, Marius Gerson, not Johan Gerson, Marius Gerson, who's always been strongly linked to Benetton and obviously the Italian national squad. I think it's going to be a great game. If the weather is good, it's going to be a hell of an entertaining game. I don't think they've got the technical finesse even of a Connacht or any of those Irish teams, but they've got physicality. And if the Stormers don't bring their A game physically, they will lose that game.
What are you saying, mate?
What are you saying?
What are you saying? So I think this is going to be a bit of a nail biter until the end because I think Benetton will play for 80 minutes. They're scrappers as well, just like the Stormers with the cardiac kids that go for 85. These guys will go all the way. The Stormers need to dent them early on to win this one. They need some more Sacha's magic, but they need to marry that with the best of what they do, which is defend. They're a great defensive team when they switch it on. So let's see the Stormers put that together this week. I think they're going to win this one, and I'm going to give them 8 points in it. I'm going to say 24-16. The defense is back, only 16 points conceded, one try.
I think you got it completely wrong there.
Okay.
Benetton's going to score a lot of tries, okay?
Damn it.
Because you don't fix a defense in 1 week. If you concede 5, you should have conceded 7. Guarantee you're going to concede 3. We've spoken about this all season, and you've said it. I have it on record. We can haul it out, and we can show it to you.
Show it to me,
You
mate.
said
What
the
is it?
Stormers are a team that can score tries, but they're always going to concede tries.
Yes.
Because of the way they play.
Yeah.
So given that Dobbo has given them a ton lashing from the moment he did that TV interview afterwards, they upset Dobbo.
They made
The
me angry,
boys-
mate.
You made me angry. The boys made Dobbo angry, and I haven't seen that all season. And
Have
you-
some respect.
Hey? Don't call my boys that, okay? All right, take that back. But they upset Dobbo, and rightly so. They need a convincing win against Benetton. I've thought about this at length. I've spoken to Dobbo.
Did you write it down in your notebook?
I've counted some opinion. I have Benetton to score 27 points
What? Oh, my goodness,
and
mate.
to score 4 tries. 2 conversions and a penalty.
Okay.
And I got the Stormers to score 40 points. And I have the Stormers
Yo.
to win by 13. But as I said earlier, I'll take it. Stormers by 1.